Today was supposed to be a light day. Proved to be one of the heaviest days I've done in the last, during this whole 12 day streak. Clearly the heaviest one. I did so much work today. I surprised myself by how much work I did. I came in today thinking to myself, I'm going to come in, do some squats, do some leg extensions, and then go home. I woke up this morning feeling damn fresh. It's almost like I slept in a hyperbaric chamber or something. I don't know. I just woke up really fresh. Despite the last 3 days doing pin squats, I thought today was going to be a really slow day. Woke up and my biology said, you're good to go, man. So I packed my bag today with the expectation of let's see how we go. I'm going to warm up and see how we go. So because I did the last 3 days pin squats at various different heights, today I was like, okay, I really want to experiment further with these pin squats. Let's put them super freaking high. So this thing that you're seeing here, it looks funny as hell. And part of me was like, man, this is silly. But deep down, I'm thinking to myself, there's benefit in this. This is basically like a rack hold with some range of motion, and it's coming off a pin. I worked up to some stupid number today. I worked up to 340 kilos with this position. I thought to myself when I was setting these pins, I don't want any lean of the upper body. I want this thing to be up and down, straight up and down. So all the motion that's happening is in the knee joint. And then obviously the subsequent stabilization that has to go through the trunk, the core, all that sort of stuff. So it's basically like a core exercise with a central nervous system component because, when you're lifting 340 on your back, everything lights up. Certainly when I went to the squatting afterwards, the thing felt like I could throw it through the roof. So definitely central nervous system is gets turned on like crazy. So what I planned today was to do this. I had no idea, no perceived ideas, expectations of how much weight I was going to put on the bar. But when I got to this level, I was like, man, this feels really light. For me, the biggest fatigue comes from, the biggest drain on my system comes from leaning or hip flexion. When I lean forward, lean over, bend over, whatever you want to call it at the hip, that's when I start, chewing up these recovery points. So I kept adding the weight. I got up to 340 kilos. I stood that thing up for one, held it for a little bit, and that was it. Then I worked up to 200 kilos with the flat shoes. Hit my 200 kilos. Stripped the bar back. Put some Ollie shoes on, my dusty Ollie shoes that I had to kind of like clean before I went to the gym. I haven't touched them in probably 9 months, probably even longer, 10 months, something like this, that I last squatted in Olympic weightlifting shoes. The reason being is, in my little crisis, big crisis, little crisis, whatever you want to use, of that hip pain that I had, I was questioning everything and anything that I was doing at the time. And one of the things that I tried was, I tried squatting with flat shoes for the first time in a little bit, because prior to that, it was all Ollie shoes. And what I noticed immediately was that my hip was happier when I was wearing flat shoes. And so that's what made me drop the Ollie shoes and basically forget about them. And, I just gave myself a little block with flat shoes. I felt incredibly well, and that kind of stuck, and here we are. One of you guys said in yesterday's, I think, video, why don't you try Ollie shoes? And I thought, well, that's a brilliant idea. I've had this coming and going, this idea of trying Ollie shoes again for quite some time now. And then when I read that comment, I'm like, let's do it tomorrow if I feel good. I felt good. So I worked up to 200 kilos. I tried to hit it, and you'll see the video. I kind of lost balance going kind of halfway up through the sticking point. The bar felt like it was going good. The bar didn't stop, but I kind of just, I leaned too far backwards or something. I lost balance over my midfoot, and I had to drop the bar, otherwise it could have ended up nasty. After that, the rampage continued. I ended up doing some deadlifts. Worked up to 230 kilos with the deadlifts. After that, I went to the leg extensions and did some work there. Basically, that is the most amount of work I've done, I think, in this whole 12-day streak of hitting 200 kilos. Certainly, I don't remember last time I worked this hard. I don't know where that came from. As I've said to you guys, auto-regulation is king for me. When you don't feel it, don't do it, or don't push hard. When you feel it, push hard. For me, it's silly to come in on a day like this and be half-assed and just walk through it. The body's saying go, so you go. I didn't do anything spectacular after yesterday's session. I recovered, really well. I don't know why. I slept like a king, woke up really fresh. And I think the 340 kilo pin squats or rack haul, whatever you want to call that thing, maybe it's not even a pin squat because it's so damn high, did something to me again. I felt really good after that. These pin squats, for me, it does something to me, man. I don't know, I can't put my finger exactly on what's happening, but it makes me feel good. One of the guys that actually watches the channel was working alongside me. He said to me, man, my back just hurts watching you do this 300 kilo pin squat, 340 kilo pin squat. And certainly that's where I feel most of my trouble. When you got so much weight on your back, your core needs to lock in like crazy. And I think there's benefit to that. If you learn how to brace against a weight that heavy, all the other weights you're going to deal with are not going to be anywhere near it. I can't squat nowhere near 300 kilos. In fact, I can't even squat 205 or 210 at the moment, right? Like, so when you put 200 kilos on your back, you're just, your wiring of your brain and your nervous system is just like, this is nothing shocking to you. This is how things are done around here. You know what I mean? Like, there's no shock. So the moment you remove the shock factor of the weight crushing you, that sensation is overwhelming. It can sometimes freak us out. So if you can remove that crushing feeling and just focus on, okay, technique, where are my limbs at? What am I doing with my back? Let's nail the technique. It almost adds like this weight off your shoulders, figuratively, not literally. You kind of feel like less anxiety about the thing. You feel more confident. I think if it's just that this thing is offering, it's beneficial. So, obviously, I said yesterday, the further, the more range of motion you do in the pin squats, the more and more it fatigues you. The other day I did pin squats kind of like at that 90-degree knee bend, and that thing literally felt like a freaking deadlift. And I might as well put the bar on the ground and do a deadlift at that point. Like, it feels breaking inertia from that weakness at that kind of middle belly of the weak point of my range of motion. That is, it's so taxing. I only did 140. So then now you can see like a spectrum of strength in this range of motion. So that high quarter squat that I just did there, quarter pin squat, I can handle 340 kilos. And for every centimeter more range of motion that I go down, there's like this sudden drop off of power. And then you get to like that 90-degree bend. And the other day, I think I did 140 kilos at that kind of 90-degree knee bend. So we've gone from 340 to 140 in that range of motion. Okay? So one way is to be like, okay, well, why don't you spend most of your time training from that weakest point of range of motion with sub-maximal weight? You can definitely do that. But for me, the thinking right now is that I miss out on the other stuff, like from the super maximal weight. When I have super maximal weight on my back, like 340 kilos at that quarter squat position, something happens to your organism, man. Like, I can't explain it. It's like your central nervous system literally lights up. I feel like there is a hormonal response with being crushed by so much weight. Your core gets a stimulation from freaking hell. And then when you put 200 kilos on your back, your true maximum, it just feels like a joke. But if you go back to the other form of pin squats and you work with that worst possible position, which is that 90-degree knee bend right in the middle of where it feels shit, and you work with sub-maximum weights in there, it fatigues the living shit out of you. And then when you get to your proper maximum weights, you're freaking taxed. Your lower back is lit up and you feel like absolute garbage. So it's ironic in a way that lightweight is taxing you more than heavyweight, purely because of the position that we're challenging the body and the range of motion in. So it's ironic in a sense that go for heavyweight, go for less range of motion and get those benefits in a smaller range of motion. And then the whole time I was doing this, I actually said to the fella today that was working alongside me, the subscriber, I said to him, look up Paul Anderson, because Paul Anderson is one of those dudes that lived like, he did his work in his 50s and 60s. I think he was kind of like an Olympic weightlifter that was really strong and then became like a circus strength feat performer. And one of the famous stories that he talked about was that he would literally squat large barrels of water, some stupid heavy weight, and he dug a hole underneath the bar, that was supporting these kegs or containers. And so then he would literally do a quarter squat with that super crazy weight, fill the hole a little bit. So now he's got a little bit more range of motion. Do that for a period of time. Fill the hole a little bit, and then eventually progress over a certain period of time, and then until he could do like a full squat or pinch squat, really, with the super maximal weight. So it's like a progressive range of motion training system. To me, that's appealing because it teaches the body, this is the mass that we want to be handling, 300 plus weight. So maybe next time I will decrease, this is the thinking, decrease the pin just to 1 by 1, and then try and get 340 through that. And then, this is all fresh in my mind. I don't even know how I'm going to periodize this. Obviously, I can't load 340 on my back every single day. But it goes to show you that there's something to that. The old school greats did it, or a great did it, and maybe there's something to learn there. So this is the 200 kilo attempt with the Ollie shoes. I feel like I'm more upright. I reckon I failed this thing because I just simply lost balance. I don't know if you'll see this. My weight, the bar shifts backwards, and I'm like, shit, this is getting out of hand, and I dropped it for safety reasons. I don't know if you saw that. It was a bit of a loss of balance, and I kind of just thought, well, I can try and catch it and snap my spine, or I can just dump it and forget about it. So these Ollie shoes, they feel good. I feel like I'm more upright. My hip pain doesn't hurt from them at the moment. Like, my hip pain is completely gone. I just feel awkward. And that's probably, a justifiable feeling to have, because I have been squatting in flats. Now I've got this heel, and I feel like I'm literally squatting downhill. So it's something to experiment with, I guess. I guess everyone that squats ATG, high bar on Olympic weightlifting circuit, that I've kind of seen, squat with heels. So it's probably beneficial for me to do this. So there's something, I don't know. I did it for the sake of just trying something new. Whether I'm going to stick with it or not, I'm not sure. I still feel more comfortable in flats. For some reason, I just feel earthed. I feel the weight is in the middle of my foot. And I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure on my knee. Because like when I have that heel elevated, I feel like there's a lot of shearing force through the knee. I don't know if that's all in my head. I just feel so stable in my flats. But anyway, maybe this is like a variation that I can include once in a while. I'm yet to kind of work out exactly what to think about this. After all of this madness, like I said, I went to deadlifts. I haven't deadlifted in a while. Point being is that I'm squatting 200 kilos every day, and I don't want to add deadlifts and then completely fry myself. So I am now really interested to see, how am I going to turn up tomorrow? What's my body going to do tomorrow? Later on in this video, you will see me for the first time on the channel eat some food. We went to a joint here in Adelaide that basically does like a balcony grill type thing. So food from my part of the world, my home country. I ate a whole bunch of meat and a salad, you'll see. So this is the kind of stuff that I kind of love to eat to recover from. Shit ton of protein. You guys tell me if you reckon that's enough protein in that meal, but certainly was a big meal. After a massive session, well deserved, I think. If you're gonna have sessions like this, you're gonna have to, supply the recovery for it. I went up to 180, then put another 50 kilos on, so that's 230. I haven't deadlifted for a while. After all of that work, I still felt good. The lower back pump wasn't severe today. I feel like the lower back pump severity, it might decrease over the next few days, because I feel like it's finally catching up to the rest of me. But that's where I'm at right now. Literally a surprise day for me. I said to the cameraman today was going to be a light day. Ended up being a freaking super heavy day. 340, 200, 200, and then 230 on 4 different lifts. So anyway, I'm a big believer in auto regulation. As I always say to you guys, I read what my body tells me. If tomorrow I wake up and I feel like shit, well, I'm going to keep it minimal. But on days that I feel like this, why not? And you saw me there lower the weight really, really slowly. I feel so much stronger eccentrically with the deadlift. And I know eccentrically we're supposed to be stronger. For me, still, leg drive is the problem. So if I can improve my leg drive, hence why I did what I did the following movement, which is these leg extensions. So today I decided to try and do the whole stack, which I ended up doing. The whole stack was 138 something. I think it's pounds. You guys reckon it's pounds. So I did the whole stack there. I worked up to a full stack. I did a set of 10. Honestly, to be honest with you guys, one of you guys said this to me. There's absolutely no point doing the full stack because that thing, I didn't feel it in my quads. I don't know where I felt it. The range of motion was shit. The time under tension was shit. I think these exercises are best done with, I don't know, sub-maximal loads. Obviously, something that you can control, something that you can feel the contraction. And that's what I did. So I worked up to a full stack, and then I went back to, I think, 100 pounds. And I did that for 5 sets of 10. Yeah, it was 10 today. And that felt good. That literally felt like I had a pump in the quads, which kind of gives me that idea that that's what I need, because once again, the weak spot in the squat and the deadlift seems to be arising from a lack of leg drive. I'm pretty strong, I think, in my back, but I think I need more pop from my knees, and I reckon that will mean a lot to me. So that's basically where I'm at right now. I don't know. I always try to map out biology. I always try to map out, plan different things, but it's so hard, man. It's so hard to work out exactly how I'm going to feel tomorrow, the next day. So when people give me a month plans and they're like, what do you think of this plan or that plan? I'm like, dude, I've got no idea, dude. I've got no idea. I think if you're going to run a more rigid program, something that calls for certain percentages of for a few sets or so many reps, I think every program needs to have a degree of auto regulation built into it. So if you come in and you have prescribed weights, there should be a system in a program, in a good program, I feel like, where you can be like, okay, right now out of 10, I feel like 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 10 ready for this workout. And then I'm going to accordingly adjust the volume and intensity for that given day. I think that's something that I would like to see in programming. But anyway, you saw the food there, finished it all off. I don't even know where all that food fit in, but that's basically my day. Hell of a lot of work, hell of a lot of food, work and food, and now sleep. That's all I'm missing. So let me go get some sleep, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow for another workout. All right, guys, peace out.